The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com, that's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. This is Neil Himmelstein. Welcome to the Code for Financial Success, the Main Street Planning Group Code for Financial Success. When we talk about code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. We work with advisors across the country, helping them plan financial strategies around insurance. We have in-house underwriters and case design people that will help your financial advisors help you achieve financial success and long-term planning success. Yesterday, I had a very interesting conversation with one of my colleagues who's a wealth planner, wealth advisor. I know there's many of them here at this station. And he specializes in the area of IRA planning. And for the last 15 years, he's been talking about stretch IRAs. Stretch IRAs earlier this year are no longer. And I said, what happened? Well, there was an act earlier this year called the Secure Act that kind of went unnoticed because of COVID, which eliminated stretch IRAs, which eliminated if you left your IRA or 401k to your child or children, your beneficiaries, they were able to stretch out the income over their lifetime, therefore not being taxed all at once. Now, the payments from a stretch IRA is gone. They have to take payments in 10 years. And that can impact them tax-wise. So he says to me, I said, what makes you different than all the other financial advisors out there? He says, well, I talk about not only diversifying your assets, which for those that don't know, a mixture of stocks and bonds, being in different sectors like energy or growth or different areas of the market, but I talk about diversifying your tax classes. I said, interesting. So a lot of what I do is with people in retirement is I talk about taking their IRA and taking some of it and converting it to a Roth IRA, which, they can take out income tax free later, and it's a great tax move. He says, but you know what the best ROI is? For those who don't know, return on investment, he goes, life insurance. I go, agreed. I said, you're talking my language here, because I've been talking about that forever. One of the great things about life insurance is you can take the money out tax-free and take an income for the rest of your life. Or if you leave it behind, it's left behind tax-free. If it's left inside of a trust, a life insurance trust, it's estate tax-free. And that is so important today because as the legislation is changing, because of the great debt that we have, just this week or last week, New York State is putting an estate tax. They raised it from 16% to 20%. The federal government, which has an exclusion for most people, up to like 11 million per person in passing to their children, is looking to reduce it to 3.5 to 5 million. Also in the new tax codes, they're looking to get rid of step up in basis, which can greatly affect your tax situation in the future. So I just wanted to reiterate that conversation. I thought it was terrifically refreshing. Now today I'd like to talk to you about a little personal thing about me and my life. You know, I grew up the fifth son of 5 boys. My father was a veterinarian. We grew up in Baltimore City. And my father was he was like my God. I mean, brilliant guy, veterinarian, professional, did very well financially. He was also a semi-pro soccer goalie and played tennis from the time he was 20 to about 60, 65 every single day. He had great hours. He would work 9 to 1, 6 to 8. After 1 o'clock, he'd go to Clifton Park in Baltimore, if anybody knows where that is, and play tennis. In the winter, he played indoors. And he did this every day. He'd come home, we'd have dinner, he'd go back out to work and come home with a great life. Did very well. As a matter of fact, my son saw videos of my father playing tennis when he was a little kid, and he said, "Oh my God, Papa Mo," he said, "you had a six-pack." I said, "The heck with him, I got a keg." Anyhow, that's my father. Over the years, my father developed disintegrated discs in his neck and back and osteoporosis in his back to the point where he became paralyzed later in life. But as this progression happened, and I hate to say it, my children never saw my father walk. You know, they said, "I've never seen Papa Mo walk." And to me, he was the greatest athlete, the greatest, smartest guy, did well, put 5 boys through college. That was a big thing for him. Invested well. My father is in the stock market since 1937. He diversified his assets. He invested in stocks, in bonds. He used to tell me about it. Consistently vested. When he did his own retirement plan called a Keogh plan, he had that plus his investments. Did very well. One of the things he told me, in his later years, he says, "You know what the best investment I have is right now?" He took a small bit of his money and bought an immediate annuity, which gave him an income every month that came into his checking account. He would get a check every month. This is the best investment. I don't have to think about this. Every month I have an investment for the rest of his life. For 25 years, he said this was the best thing ever. He didn't miss the money. It was just a portion that said, "I have this in my account every month." And that was a great thing. Well, let's talk about my mom for a second. My mom, and this is National Women's Month, and I wrote a blog about this, was my dad's caregiver. Okay? Now, as his back deteriorated, my mom was 7 years younger, had to take care of him. Well, one of the things that she had to do, besides taking care of him, and I could tell you story after story, but, it got to the point where she had to load his wheelchair, we got a special van and everything else. That van, okay, that special van with the wheelchair and everything else, was like a tin can after about 6 months, where she hit every curb in Baltimore City, on both sides. One of the tough things for me to do was to take my mom's license away, to look her dead in the eye and say, "You can't drive anymore, Mom." That took away her freedom. That was tough. My mom passed from taking care of him. This is not uncommon, that the healthy spouse ends up taking care of the other person, and it deteriorates them mentally and physically to the point where she passed away first. So now here's my dad with money, good-spirited guy, in a wheelchair, in a home by himself, refusing to go to a nursing home, refusing to go to assisted living, health deteriorating, and here we are, 5 boys all over the country, and who's monitoring his drugs, who's monitoring his care, who's taking him to the doctor, who's watching after the house, which is deteriorating with the air conditioning going out, him having asthma attacks. It was a nightmare. This is what we call long-term care. And there's insurance that protects people for long-term care. And my point is this. 25 years ago, long-term care was not as prevalent a need as it is today, because medical science has changed the game. 25 years ago, back when I started in this business, they would say 1 out of 2 people after age 65 would need some sort of long-term care. Today, the statistics are 70% after the age of 65 will need some sort of care. 70%. That's 2 out of 6 activities of daily living, they're going to need some sort of care. The other 30% of us are taking care of the 70%. Financially and emotionally. Not just the spouses, but the kids and their children. And that's something to think about. And we're going to go to commercial in a second here, but I just want you to think about that right before we go. With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Hello there, this is Neil Himmelstein. You've been listening to my show, A Code for Financial Success. We talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. I work with financial advisors all across the country on insurance issues. We are experts in life insurance, annuities, long-term care, and disability. Today's show, we were talking about the need for long-term care insurance, and I talked about my parents. And if you just heard me before break, we talked about how 70% of people age 65 or older will need some sort of care. The other 30% will be taking care of that 70%. Now, I know with my dad, when we had left him, he was by himself, and we had a lot of concerns. We rotated, living all over the country, going back and forth. Quite often, daughters have to take care of their parent, but they have children as well. It leaves a lot of financial issues. So what can you do? Well, today we can plan for this. We can plan for this by buying long-term care insurance. And there's several types of long-term care insurance today. The traditional long-term care insurance will cover you for when you're at home, an assisted living, a nursing home. But most importantly, a good plan is going to have what they call a care coordinator. And what's that care coordinator? Is that person that you can call when you run into trouble, no matter how much money you have in retirement or don't have. Having somebody to call and coordinate you when you may not be at your physical or emotional or cognitive best is huge. They've been able to keep our lives going mechanically forever. Mentally is a whole nother thing. Cognitive issues is the biggest issue. My dad passed away at age 89. He'd be 102 this year, or 103. 104 this year, 1917. So he was a very bright guy. He had a photographic memory. I mean, extremely bright. But yet, he would forget when he took his medicines. He would not, and nobody's around to monitor that. So we were scrambling to find somebody that would come to the house and coordinate. If we had a plan in place, that never would have happened. And planning eliminates problems. Now, today's insurance problems, And I'll talk about another person who came into my office recently. So a woman came in and she did some great planning. She was a teacher and had a pension. And she had her own, what they call 403B, which is a pension plan that you contribute to yourself as a teacher. And she's now 70 years old. And she had the foresight to buy a long-term care plan many years ago. It was not quite adequate, okay? But they came in with a price increase, and she came in and asked me, what do I do? Well, the interesting thing we did for her was that 403B, or IRA kind of plan that she had a lot of money in it that she wasn't touching. And she wanted to make sure that she could leave her condo to her daughter, okay? But she didn't think her daughter could afford her condo. She still had a mortgage on it, and afford her regular home. So what we did is we took that 403B and we put it into a variable annuity, which would give her a guarantee income of 4% a month for the rest of her life, 4% a year for the rest of her life, which was quite significant. With part of that income, not all of it, part of it, not even the whole thing, we bought a life insurance policy with a long-term care rider just in case she needed long-term care to supplement the policy she had and maybe not worry about it. But it gave her an additional $500,000 of not just long-term care coverage if she needed it, but if she didn't need it, it would pass tax-free to her daughter so she could pay off the condo. This cost her zero money, basically. This was an asset she wasn't using. She had a separate pension and Social Security taking care of her needs and all her expenses with a positive cash flow. We increased her cash flow and doubled her assets to leave behind to her daughter, and took away all the worry in case she needed care in her home or assisted living or nursing home. But the bottom line is, if you have good coverage, it will keep you out of the nursing home. This is not nursing home insurance. This is to keep you out of the nursing home and keep your independence. That's why we have these type of programs. So there's many types of different programs that can work to help you, and it all integrates with the rest of all your assets, whether it be annuities, whether it be investments, whether it be an IRA, whether it be insurance. You want to have everything take its proper course. So if you have any concerns whatsoever about any of these products or anything else, or your financial advisor, have your financial advisor call me. You know, if you have existing policies that you just want to know about, and you should keep up with them annually at least, or 6 months, because policies change, okay? Pricing changes. A lot of insurance policies depend on interest rate rates. You can call me at 631-647-4694. I can find an advisor that can help you, that's an expert in every one of these areas. I am a resource for you and a resource for your advisor. That's what we do. So again, my name is Neil Himmelstein, Main Street Planning Group. This is the Main Street code for financial success, and I can be reached at 631-647-4694, or you can go to my website at mainstreetplanninggroup.com. My website, by the way, has lots of videos on lots of topics for advisors. Some of them you may be interested, but we have lots of data and lots of things that you can go to and run information, and I'm always available by website or phone at 631-647-4694. So to wrap up today, we talked about why life insurance is poor, what a great return on investment life insurance can be for your family and for you for living benefits. We talked about long-term care insurance and some of the coverages it provides. And not only that, we talked about annuities and how you can have an income stream for the rest of your life. All these products play into your whole portfolio and your whole life. And I have to tell you, failing to plan is failure down the road. You need to plan. And you need to have a plan. And I highly recommend that you involve your children, or if you're younger, involve your parents in your plan, because it affects everybody if you do the wrong thing or if you're doing the right thing. Everybody wants to live this happy life, sleep at night, and that's what we provide, sleep at night. So my show is on 3 o'clock every Friday. Please make an appointment to listen to me at 3 o'clock on Friday here on 103.9 FM, LI News Radio. And we're going to have some guests in future meetings, and we look forward to talking to you further.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.